Hey everybody, in case you haven't heard the news yet, a couple of days ago, Chick Corea passed away at the age of 79. Now, this I think was pretty unexpected for everybody. He's been active on his YouTube channel as little as 4 weeks ago, and I'm reading that he had a rare form of cancer that they only recently found out about, so it's kind of come as a shock to everybody, but I thought I would take a moment and talk about my experience with Chick Corea and something that he did for me that I will always remember as like one of the most impactful things that I've ever experienced in my life. My freshman year of college, for those of you who don't know, I went to Purchase College in Westchester County, just outside of New York City. I grew up in the state of New York, about 4 hours north of the city, and honestly never really spent much time there. So when I was a freshman in college, that was really the closest I'd ever been and the most frequent I was able to start going and spending more time going, checking out the different clubs in the city and getting to hear the top musicians in the world for the first time. Well, only a couple of months into my freshman year at Purchase, I found out that Chick was going to be doing a birthday celebration. I think it was about a month long at the Blue Note. We got some tickets to a couple of the performances, and the very first performance that we went to see, it was me and a couple of friends that all went together. And the first performance that we went to see was Chick Corea in the 5-piece band. And it was Brian Blade on the drums, who's like one of my favorite drummers alive ever, period. Kenny Garrett on alto, John Patitucci on the bass, John McLaughlin on the guitar. I mean, you want to talk about just an outrageous band, like absolutely insane. And it's funny because I've just been having this conversation with a couple of friends recently, in a couple of individual instances, as a matter of fact, about how some of my absolute most memorable and joyful experiences in music have actually not been playing music. I mean, certainly that accounts for a huge percentage of them as well, but some of the most fun I've ever had in and around music has been listening to and experiencing music with my friends and just being together with other musicians and listening to stuff that is super exciting and everybody, we just collectively, everybody's screaming and just listening to the same thing over and over, like this one drum fill or something like that, and just screaming and yelling and jumping around and just going crazy over the music. Like, those are some of my fondest memories, driving in the car with my buddies back home, just like blaring something, in the car and just absolutely screaming. That's some of the most fun I've ever had in music. And this was the first time in my life, this performance, that I have gotten to experience that level. I mean, you want to talk about life-changing. I had never been to a performance live like that with that caliber of musician, let alone an entire band of them. I mean, it changed my life, and that is such an understatement. I can't possibly express how much of an understatement that is. But it was nuts. And me and my friends, we were just at our table, and it's funny. I mean, you get all kinds of people that go to jazz clubs to listen to music, and we were those kids who were just like, we were probably obnoxious, honestly, for a lot of the people around us, but we were just losing it. We were hooting and hollering and just like having such a great time. And at the end of the performance, there was what I now know is the little VIP section at the Blue Note, and a couple of ladies leaned over and asked us, are you musicians? And we were like, yeah. And one of them goes, oh, well, I'm Brian Blade's wife, and this is Kenny Garrett's wife. And that over there, that's Chick Corea's wife. And we were like, oh, hi. And Chick's wife, Gail, absolutely sweet, came over to us, and she had been watching us and was so excited to see young musicians that were that excited about the music. And so she said, you have to come upstairs and meet Chick. And meanwhile, the three of us were like, oh, sure, okay. And in our heads, we're just like, what is happening? What is even going on right now? And so she brought us upstairs, and we waited, and we got to go into the green room and talk to Chick. And I mean, just the sweetest people. Chick and Gail both. I mean, they were so welcoming, so inviting, so friendly, and so eager to share what they could with us. And of course, it was a relatively brief encounter, but it was of such high importance to Chick to express the things that he felt were important about the music and about passing the music on to the next generation. And while, it's not like we had a lesson right then and there, but in a lot of ways they were appreciative of our excitement and of our eagerness to learn. And so, we said goodbye and thinking that was it. And we walked out, and Gail turns to us and says, "Oh, have you heard the flamenco band? And the Miles Band?" And she's basically going through a list of all of the upcoming groups that were going to be there that month. It just almost like matter of fact. She was just like, "Okay, so we're going to get you on the list for that, because you really need to experience that." Almost like she was like, "This is important for you to come and hear this, because it's," and we're just like mind blown, right? And so for the rest of that month, we were, aside from the couple of performances that I had already bought tickets for, I got to be on the guest list at the Blue Note in New York City to see these incredible bands. I mean, I got to see the Flamenco Heart group, which was absolutely incredible. I got to see the Miles group with Jack DeJohnette and Eddie Gomez and Gary Bartz and all of the guys that played with Miles back when Chick played with Miles as well. And we got to see the Electric Band with Dave Weckl and Eric Marienthal, and I got to see a couple of the piano duo concerts, which one was Chick Corea with Marcus Roberts, which was incredible. And maybe alongside that first performance, the other most memorable one was I got to see Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock together on the same stage, back-to-back pianos. I mean, you want to talk about something that hadn't happened in decades, and I don't think happened more than a handful of times after that, and obviously, unfortunately, will never happen again. But I can't. It's hard for me to wrap my head around how fortunate I was and I have been, and it's literally just all because Chick and his wife Gail saw us, a group of young musicians, and it was so important to them to foster that enthusiasm and to help us continue to discover things that would keep us excited and keep us finding our way down that path of learning the music and spreading it to more people. I mean, I tell that story a lot. I think about that a lot, and just the experience that was, and the fact that I'm so incredibly lucky to have had it. So, normally, unfortunately, just we've seen a lot of amazing jazz musicians in the last year or two, or every year, I suppose. We always wind up losing, one or a few amazing musicians. And this was kind of, I guess, the first time that I felt compelled to maybe share my story about Chick, because it's been one of the formative experiences of my life and career as a musician. All I know is that the time I briefly got to meet Chick and talk with him and get to know him a little bit, I was blown away by how important it was to him to foster that enthusiasm and to help push the music down the path of younger generations. And I mean, just the sweetest guy, and so willing to be helpful and tell you anything that he could. And I appreciated that so much. And so that when I read that Chick has recently passed, I mean, it was something where I felt, I think I'd like to share that with you guys. And if you haven't checked out Chick Corea before, I really, really highly recommend it. I mean, some of the most famous jazz fusion tunes that we know, that we have, were written by Chick. I mean, it's just an absolutely incredible composer and an incredible player, and he will be sorely missed. So yeah, that's all. I just wanted to share that with you guys. So go listen to Chick, and yeah, every chance you get, go and see live music from some of the greats that we're fortunate to still have with us while we can. And I think we just need to be um, consciously taking advantage of those opportunities. They'll change your life, and Chick certainly had an impact in mine. So that's all. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.